no time at all had I ever heard from the judge, nor in the contract that I signed with the testing facility, ever stated that, upon us as the testing facility, should we find suspicion that you may be altering your samples of some sort, we have the authority to request a mouth swabbing from you.
What's going on this evening?
Well, we have a special guest. It is attorney Connie Reguli from Tennessee. Connie, are you there with us?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
I'm so excited to have you on our show. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm in Middle Tennessee, and we've been through the middle of an ice storm this week, so everybody's been kind of stuck at home. I think we're going to come through it tomorrow, and everything's going to melt away, so we'll be back to business by Monday. But it's been a pretty interesting week here.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, I guess, but maybe some downtime is nice. So let me explain how we do this. We take calls and we answer questions from our callers that most of them have CPS cases, and I will have you and Mr. Davis answer them. How does that sound?
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so let's take our first call, Vince.
Okay, it's going to be JJ from California. JJ, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
I have two questions to ask, and I'll just give you a brief background momentarily, because I'm sure you have other parents waiting who would like questions asked as well. I hope everyone's doing well this evening, Connie, Cynthia, Vincent, and your technical staff. Yes, my question is, in July of last year, 2020, our caseworker had lied to my probation officer. I went to jail for failure to check in. And the father, he didn't go to jail or anything. There was nothing found. Nothing was wrong with him. However, the caseworker told the probation officer he needed to be detained so that a credible person could come pick up our son, or he was going to go to foster care. My mom was able to take our son, which was against his father's and my wishes, but regardless, we'd rather have him been with her than in a foster home. And he had resided with her up until yesterday afternoon. In the last, 9 addendums, out of, 11 to 8-page reports, maybe a page and a half, 2 pages tops are about the father and myself and our son, and the rest of the pages are all about my mother and her lack of cooperation, her questioning the department because of the actual evidence that I finally was able to get from the hospital report and stuff, all saying that, toxicology reports came back that my system was clean. Long story short, 2 questions that I have. One is, I have been testing for the department consecutively for the last 2 months. In November, I missed 3 tests because I came to test, and due to COVID-19 concerns and them wanting to protect their staff, I was turned away from testing. I wasn't allowed to test. I wasn't allowed to provide any sample. Regardless of me, wanting to be in cooperation with the department's request, I still went out of my way, contacted my probation officer who was willing to test me at his department, but regardless, the court won't look at that. They still look at it, you missed 3 tests in November, and I'm like, well, that has nothing to do with me. Your testing facility turned me away on purpose. So I've been testing consecutively, and it was about, 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks ago. I've always had problems with this one girl who tests me. Only when she tests me, my UA samples come back 92, 94. Everyone else tests me, it's at 98. And I believe the first 92, 94 was recorded back in September or October. When I went to go test on the 3rd or the 5th of February, they wanted to do a mouth swab, and I was thrown off guard because I had been testing consecutively. Everything had came back negative, and under no time at all had I ever heard from the judge, nor in the contract that I signed with the testing facility, ever stated that, upon us as the testing facility, should we find suspicion that you may be altering your samples of some sort, we have the authority to request a mouth swabbing from you without the department's knowledge, contact, asking them, whatever. Well, being that I was going by the contract I had signed, the judge's order saying I had to provide testing, UA samples is what he had directed, not specifically, but anytime we had talked about it in court, it was like, no diluted, make sure you don't miss any tests, as long as you're providing UA samples. So I denied giving a mouth swab because their suspicion was I come at the end of the day because I'm in school and I have a job, come at the end of the day every single week by 4:30, 5 o'clock. Second one is because I wear dark clothing, which in my book at school, it says dark colors are the best. We dress professionally, suits and stuff. It's not like I'm just wearing black pants and a black shirt. I'm dressed in really nice suits and skirts like I'm going to court every day for my school. And the third suspicion was because my UA samples are between 92 and 94 degrees recently, which they've been like that since October. So I denied testing, and I felt like I was in right, being the fact that it wasn't stated in the actual contract. And because my mom backed me up on that, now they took away my son from her care. And my question being is, was I right to stand by the contract that I signed with the testing facility, and then the courts never stating specifically a mouth swab, or the contract I signed with the testing facility, they wanted a mouth swab? Because usually I would just...
JJ, let me answer that question, okay? Yep. I'm going to have one of the best CPS attorneys in the country. She's from Tennessee. Connie, how would you answer that question under Tennessee, law?
Thank you. And I'm really happy and proud to be with you on the phone. I have a lot of respect for you, and I'm happy to be here. I just want you to know that. And I'm just going to say, this whole drug testing thing is like driving me crazy. It is driving me crazy. I just went through where we had to get an expert because the ABER Health system, which is now gone, which is now a nationwide system. I mean, if you look them up, it's like they're not meeting and the problem is even these caseworkers are not very well trained with it. One of the things that I'm trying to get, if I get in with a client fairly early, I say one of your best defenses in any CPS case is you asking questions, okay? So, and you go into these cases and you assume a lot of things. You assume people to be professional. You assume they're going to do a chain of custody. You assume they're going to confirm their drug testing, because it just seems like in your mind when you find out you're going to have to be part of drug testing or something, you kind of think in your head that maybe the people who are responsible for conducting this and doing this part of my requirements are going to be professional, and you cannot in the middle of any CPS case assume anybody on the other side is competent. I would just, and Vincent, don't you agree with me on that?
You know what, Connie, I agree with you 110%. These drug testing things drive me crazy as well. You got the urine test, you got the patch test, you got the hair follicle. I'm just waiting for them to try to do the blood test on these people. Forget about privacy.
And they do cuticle hair and
never once ever have I ever given a dirty test ever since July. There's never been a dirty test.
Hey, JJ, I want you to do me a favor. Do me a favor, JJ. Take down my telephone number, 888-888-6582. Give me a call tomorrow. Make an appointment to talk to me. I'm going to chat with you more about this situation because you are up in California, and I'm licensed in California, and I can give you some more information about that. Hey, JJ, I want to thank you for calling. Thank you for listening. And we have to take our first break here to pay some bills. So stand by. We'll be back with more calls, more questions, and more stories.